All right.
Hello, I'm Granville, Emerson, and welcome to Lidline Sports.
Yeah. Did I miss something?
I said Lidline Sports.
Yeah. Hey, kudos. Good job, bro.
Let's see, whatever. Over there, your little fatigue Gilligan hat. I see.
Oh.
That is my partner, Renault, Pepe Bean. We got special guests up the yin yang on the program today. To my left, immediate left, your right if you're watching on Facebook Live. What's up, Facebookies? We're in a different spot, different location, everything new. Leave for a week and things change. Anthony Richmond, Hooper, Roosevelt High School, Central Washington University.
Eastern Washington. I went to 2 schools.
Who didn't? Vince, how many schools you go to?
I only went to one.
Vince McDaniel. All right.
Yeah. Hey, went to Shoreline, played all around the city, travel around the country, played some.
Okay.
Right.
And my partner, Renault, Pepe Bean.
Yeah.
So later on in the show, we have a very, very special guest returning to Lidline Sports with us. That is the one and only University of Washington Women's Hall of Fame hooper, Rhonda Smith-Banchero.
Yay.
Let's see. Where are we going to start? Oh, Pep.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL started yesterday.
What?
That's why we have these guys here, because these guys are hybrid. I guess that's a good word I could call it.
That's pretty good.
Hybrid Seahawks and Cowgirls fans. I mean, Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys fans.
Both,
So,
which are 0-1. Sorry.
so we have been talking for over a year now about having Anthony Richmond and Vince McDaniels on the show to talk about this whole. Vince, I know you said that you have been a Cowboy fan since you were what?
4.
Since 4 years old.
Since 4 years old.
And I have the pictures and shirt to prove it that I wore it till I had to cut it.
So what's your excuse, Anthony?
My excuse for what?
Being a Cowboy fan.
Oh, man, that's the first football game I remember watching.
Cowboys?
Still remember the score, 27-30, Dallas over St. Louis.
Okay, so you all have you guys owe your allegiance to Jerry Jones
No.
and the Cowboys? No.
I can't sell
How do you feel about the Cowboys now? In the light of Jerry Jones telling his players that he was going to make them stand for the national anthem, and his son Stephen Jones telling them that they better toe the line?
Kyle, step and fetch.
I'm not with that. That's kind of a slave master's mentality, talking to your team. I'm not buying it. So it's hard for me because I want to cheer for him, but I can't. I just can't. I can't. I'm not going to go to burn up all my clothes because they cost too much. But we'll just wait till Jerry leaves, and then we'll get back on there. But until Jerry's there, I can't have any part of it. It's hard.
All right.
Vince?
Well, it really hit me hard. Because me being a Cowboys fan for so long, since 4 years old, and those words he said made me immediately feel like, are you serious? Like, you're saying I have to do that? What I wanted to happen was for the star players, all of the star players, and black or white, whoever, all to come together and kneel all in one, and there's strength in numbers, and say, hey, you can't just tell us not to do what something, yeah, you're the owner, but it's your free right of speech,
That mic close to your mouth so people out there can hear what you got to say, Mr. Big Soft-Spoken Man.
All right.
He is not related to the Jacksons, though.
That's right.
And then your quarterback came out and said that football games are not a good time to protest.
Wow. I I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, it's just he's right there. He sounds just as bad as Jerry. I mean, he doesn't do it. I mean, your old man.
So he's in the house, basically.
It sounds that way, yeah. Yeah.
Dak turned a lot of people against him from his statement, and I mean, not just once, twice. And I was really taken aback by that too, and disappointed. And I mean, he's his own person, but that I just didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I think the thing that got me with Dak was that he doubled down, so he's sticking to his word. And Dak played at Mississippi, so he should be more than aware of the civil rights movement and everything that's going on, or has gone on.
Right.
And for him to say that, I mean, it's just kind of like, really?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: I met a guy years ago from Mississippi, and he sounded like he was in 1957 the way he was talking, because we were in boot camp actually, and I had an argument with this other person who was white. And so afterwards, after everything cooled down, he came up to me and said, "Man, boss, you can't talk to them like that." I was dumbfounded. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Man, you gonna get in trouble doing that." That's how he sounded. I mean, it just took me by surprise. So, but hearing Dak, that doesn't surprise me because I've experienced that before, and to me, that's almost like a watered down version of that. He wasn't that boisterous about that mentality, but it's there.
It made me think of something else. My aunt moved down to Atlanta maybe 8 years ago. She's born and raised in Seattle, moved to Los Angeles, then moved back to Seattle. She went down there about 8 years ago. We went down for a family reunion. And she was talking, and she said, the people down here kind of have a mentality that they're stuck back in time in the way they conversate about things, and they're acceptable to things that we up here would not tolerate. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe that's something he's going through, but I just thought what he said told me a lot. Mm-hmm. He doubled down. He was from Mississippi, and it's just kind of like, stay in line, boy. And he just went along with it.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing, if I could. Do you guys maybe think that Jerry might have said something to him to come out and say something? Has anyone thought about that?
First of all, I asked the question. No,
okay.
I'm just kidding.
Good point.
No. I'm just kidding. That is highly possible. I believe that's highly possible. And I see the same situation maybe happening with Russell Wilson with Seattle Seahawks, because he has just as lame of answers to the questions to me. And how he's not aware, I don't know. I mean, come on, man.
Well, he's from the South too.
Virginia. Yeah, Virginia. Yeah, true. So I think that, in their position, the quarterback is the extension of the coach, extension of the front office. So they kind of maybe fall into line with and towing company policy or whatever. I know Russell,
protecting that coin purse.
He's non-confrontational anyway. So, but on the football field, the Cowboys lost to Carolina in a lackluster performance yesterday, 16-8. Mm-hmm. Did y'all watch?
No,
I didn't watch. I saw highlights because I watched Sports Center. Mm-hmm. I read. I could read. But I always figured that they were going to have a problem offensively because, they don't have a go-to receiver. And
so Dez Bryant was trolling them on Twitter the whole game. Did you read that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
And Witten's gone.
The center's out, from what I hear. Mm-hmm. And they look like crap. And I'm glad. I mean, I hate to say that. I really am. I'm a Seahawk ticket holder. I want to protest, the entire NFL, but I have a girlfriend. So
Woo-hoo.
I gotta go.
Tell us more.
Once again, the power of women.
I'm telling you.
And I try to tell people all the time, women got the power.
So I
This
got
man want to boycott, but him and his girlfriend got CR tickets, so you know what he got to do.
so I gotta go to a few games. So that's what
Wear one of them sleep masks so you don't have to see it.
But he's got his Kaepernick hoodie on. Matter of fact, that is tight as
I love it.
heck.
Love it.
Yeah, it is.
That is tight as heck.
Yeah.
And so, I need to be one of those. He is representing the struggle, even though he's got to go to the game. That's all right with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Pepe and I say, we have a sports show, so we got to watch it. Be able to talk intelligently about the sport. I did boycott all last year and came to the show not being able to talk about nothing. Right, Pep?
I had to give you some pep talk.
Yeah, we had NFL pep talk with Pep last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my time, my service in that whole deal the best I could. But this year I've got to be able to talk intelligently to you who are out there watching and looking to us for entertainment information.
Absolutely.
On that, I actually want to give a shout out to everybody who's watching on Facebook Live right now. I see Michael Carter. What's up? Bill Walker.
Faithful.
Jimmy Hawkins.
Faithful.
Craig Arthur. Marcus Cody. Ida Hooks. Will Dorsey. Will Dorsey, you need to check your inbox, homie. I got a message for you.
Oh.
Linda Thomas. Carrie Pettis. Muhammad in Michigan. John Hughley. Terry Steele in L.A. Phyllis Hill. Janice Dawson over there on the east side at Microsofty. Barry Thomas in L.A. What's up, y'all? Thanks for watching.
L.A.
In the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong, Pep.
What?
Patrick
No.
Mahomes was out there looking better than Alex Smith.
Yeah,
He
he
threw
was.
4 touchdowns for the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday.
Yep.
The Chiefs 38-28 win over San Diego. Not so superchargers. Any thoughts on Mahomes?
Yeah.
He went to work.
Yeah.
4
He went
TDs.
to work.
He's not a rookie, but his
Yeah.
second year, first start, 4 TDs.
Yeah, he looked comfortable in command. But hey, the guy you replaced looked good at Washington.
Alex Smith got 24-6 win over Arizona. The Cardinals threw for 255 yards and 2 TDs.
Mm-hmm.
And AP rushed for his 100th touchdown.
Yeah, he walked in.
I did see
He
that.
didn't look good walking in, though.
Hey.
He looked like AP did his little thing. You know, AP,
Right.
Yeah, he did his thing.
Wasn't he with Arizona last year? So that was
Yeah.
kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was happy.
It was sweet for Arizona to lose. It was sweet for the 49ers to lose.
Yeah.
It's like everybody in the NFL West lost yesterday.
How the Rams doing?
Well, the Rams, they're on now, I think, if the Detroit game is over. Playing the
Oh,
Raiders.
it's over.
How about Ryan Fitzpatrick hanging 48 on New Orleans?
Yeah,
Man,
nobody saw that coming.
No.
Man,
all I got to say is just don't give Ryan Fitzpatrick a new contract.
don't do it.
Because he balls out until he gets a new contract.
Yeah, and then he sits down.
How old is he now?
And then he sucks. He's probably like 30, 31, 32.
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Who knows?
Baltimore bombed the Bills.
My man threw for
47-3.
24 yards total.
Who's that?
The
Buffalo,
quarterback for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
What's his name?
No, Tyrod Taylor plays for
Cleveland.
Cleveland now.
But what? Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, the rookie.
24 yards.
24 yards. Half of that was in garbage can time. I was right the first time. Garbage can.
24 yards. Wow, that's quite a day.
Woo, man.
Uh,
To 6 receivers. No, I'm just kidding.
47-3 leaves Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback for
Yeah,
a
he
little
said-
while longer.
Yeah, he said, "Have a seat, Lamar. Just watch what I'm doing here." But that's against Buffalo. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next. Let's see. The Seahawks. Anybody? They look like last year's Seahawks.
Worse.
Yeah. Well, no.
They scored
They
points.
scored 8 points.
They scored
Now,
some
their play
points.
calling was a whole lot better
Yes.
in comparison. But the offense.
Go ahead, Vince.
No.
Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead, Vince.
Go ahead.
If Russell keeps getting hit like this, he ain't gonna make it through the
We
season.
know that.
First up.
But what we're just saying is the play calling, especially at the beginning of the game, because when they got that turnover, if you remember last year, anytime they got a turnover and get in the red zone, what happened? Well, 3 points.
3 points.
Attempt.
And it wasn't
This time,
guaranteed.
they got the TD. However, unlike last season and years before, the defense gave it right back. Every time the Seahawks took the lead or scored, they gave it right back. So, that's a problem, number one. But, we're back to the same old offensive line issue. Pete Carroll and Schottenheimer want to make Russell Wilson the pocket quarterback. Well, you can't be a pocket quarterback if you can't stay in the pocket with no protection. And Russell Wilson running and scrambling, and that spin cycle is busted. He needs to stop trying to come around that blind side because it ain't working no more. They caught up to that.
And did you go to the game?
No, I didn't go.
You flew down to Denver? Man, you got
Wait. Let's not act like Ant does not travel. You travel.
No, I didn't get down there.
Do you travel?
Yes, I did.
Let's see. That's all. So everybody knows
I saw
I'm not
Hawaii
lying.
picks,
Ant
man. travels
travels with the Hawks. His girlfriend drags him across the country. Said, where we going this week, baby? So that was a legit question. My observations originally about the game yesterday was they looked like the Seahawks and they lost the same way. They lost the same way where they didn't control the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. They missed the key field goal that would have tied the game and sent it into overtime if they would have made. Not sent it into overtime. It would have been an overtime game. Yeah. Well, Janikowski had two chances to make the same pitch and missed it the same way. Still, no running game. However, I felt like if they would have gave Carson the damn ball, he would have had a post 100-yard game.
Yeah, because he rushed 7 times for 51 yards.
51 yards.
And then Rashad Penny, seven carries for 8 total yards. Denver had 2 rookies, both 15 carries, 71 yards.
So here's where a game plan hurts you. All right, they came into the game plan into the game with a game plan
script
to give Penny and Carson 25 touches. Right, so they both got 25 touches, or 25 plays for them. Penny did nothing with his because he rushed 7 times for 8 yards.
Yeah, stuffed.
He was run out of bounds.
He was penniless.
He looked scared. Like, oh, wait, this is not what I was.
This was his first game.
Yeah, but so was Royce Freeman. How'd he do? He was the guy. He was the guy actually was hoping that the Seahawks would draft because before they even got Penny, I was like looking on the board. I said, "Oh, I see Freeman on the board. They should be able to get him." No, they don't do it.
I wonder if it may be a situation where you just need to go with one, or one gets more carries.
Well, listen, Carson, when he leaped over the guy,
you should have kept running.
You should have been feeding him.
Yeah.
It looked like they could have ran the ball on Denver.
Yes.
With Carson, if they kept feeding him the ball.
Right.
I was like, they came out the first play of the game and threw a pass, and Russell got sacked. I was like, what the heck? And here's the other thing, 2 things. Offense, 3 and out. Defense can't get off the field on third down.
Can't stop them.
It's 3rd and 14 on Denver's first drive.
Same old story.
And they give up a first down and go down and score a touchdown.
Yeah. And they got 3 picks off of Case Keenum, and you can't win the game. That, come on.
To take a bright point out of the game, from what I read,
we're not there yet.
They scored some points because last year they couldn't score no points.
Defense gave them 14.
So we know they're capable of putting some points on the board.
Defense gave them 14.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I mean,
just saying.
The first score was that a 70-yard? The drive was 70 yards. Big plays from the tight end.
That was from Earl's interception.
Earl's interception.
He got
the next one. The next one was.
Yeah.
So they moved the ball. I mean, and you didn't see that at all last year.
Right.
I mean, they didn't have no big plays over what last year? 35 yards, if that. I don't know. I'm guessing, but I don't remember seeing very many.
Yeah, I really liked how they used the tight end. Made me wonder why they couldn't do that with Jimmy Graham.
Different offensive coordinator.
Jimmy Graham's not a blocker. With this league is a blocker.
Different offensive coordinator.
Yeah. True. And they had to get away from that because they needed help to protect Russell. So they had to have him in there to block. So he couldn't go out and pass.
However, the same way that they did use him was the same way I kept saying they need to use Jimmy Graham in terms of throwing the ball to him down the seam.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
How did Graham do last night?
He had like 2 catches for like 8 yards or something like that.
Okay.
No factor.
But Rogers is out, half the game?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he's going to warm up.
He will. He will. Here's the thing about it, and we'll get to the bright spots on the Seahawks too. Here's the thing about the whole thing is what I did recognize is it was the first game, like you said, Anthony, and you are apt to see games like that, which are mistake-filled games. There were a lot of mistakes in that game.
Right.
Number one, the Seahawks are hella young.
Yeah. Well, they had rookies in key spots.
They had
That's
2
what
rookies
hurts.
in Trey Flowers at the corner.
Right.
And Shaquem Griffin at linebacker with 2 rookies on the same side of the field.
Yeah.
It hurt him out a couple of different times.
Right.
He got burnt a few times.
Yeah.
But that's all right. You know what? This is game 1. So
Yeah.
he's getting burnt now. So game 7 or 8, he shouldn't
he
get
got
burnt.
burnt by
like that.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Right.
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
Emmanuel Sanders is,
Who don't?
yeah.
And so
He was doing that at Pittsburgh.
that's a bright spot for the segue. Oh, you did mention Pittsburgh. We'll get back to the Seahawks, but I've got to mention this. Oh my goodness, Pepster.
Yeah. Bring it.
Don't know.
You can't even say my name now.
Pepe is a Pittsburgh fan.
Yeah, everybody knows that. It's no secret.
What happened?
What happened? Turnovers.
To the
What happened?
Browns.
21-7 lead in the fourth quarter. He turned the ball over. And then bam, Cleveland ties the ball game up. Then they go into overtime. Turnover. Cleveland gets in the red zone. They block the field goal. So it was a battle of ineptness.
Ineptitude.
Yeah,
That
that too. That's why I got a partner. So, at least they didn't lose.
Do you think with the running back holding out?
That had nothing to do with
Then
it.
have
James
nothing-
Conner had over 100 yards rushing, so that had nothing to do with them losing. No.
So what's going to happen with him with the running
Well,
back?
he's going to have to be the man until if or when Le'Veon Bell decides he wants to come back.
What do you think he's going to do?
I don't think he's coming back.
First of all, I asked a question. No.
I'll tell you what, though. With Connor running like that, I'm quite sure they wouldn't mind seeing them maybe what he could do for a couple more weeks.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice. It was against Cleveland, but Cleveland is much improved, especially on the defensive end.
Very much improved.
So I will say that's a good thing. But let's see what happens in the weeks ahead. If the running game starts to suffer, then now you're going to start hearing more about Le'Veon. What's he going to do? Is he going to come back, or are they going to be begging him to come back? So I don't know. I think for the Seahawks, man, was it great timing for Earl Thomas to come back, or what?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Earl, he didn't miss a step.
No.
He didn't miss a step. Other bright spots were tight end Will Dissly. We talked about him. Brandon Marshall. I told y'all Brandon Marshall was a playmaker. I thought the first touchdown that they called the push
That
off
was
on him
garbage,
was weak.
man.
Was really weak.
Very.
And
Home cooking.
should have been a touchdown. And Michael Dixon, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This dude had punts of 69 and 63
Dude, he's
yards.
the best punter in the NFL already.
He's the best punter I've
It's
ever
only
seen.
game 1.
Already. He's
He's the best punter I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You are listening to and watching Lidline Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio and Facebook Live with our special guest, Anthony Richmond and Vince McDaniels. Coming up, Washington Hoops Hall of Famer Rhonda Smith-Banchero. You do not want to miss our conversation with Rhonda. We'll be talking about the whole thing with Venus and Naomi. Serena. She already corrected me. Thank you. With Serena, one of Williams' sisters, with the most accomplished Williams sister
Right.
in the U.S. Open over the weekends and all of that, and talking about the Seattle Storm
Stewie
in the chip versus the Washington. That's like Trump.
You sound like Foster Brooks.
Washington Mystics, another Seattle, Washington Basketball Championship Series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
They 2-0 in the finals so far. 2-0 in the series.
Stormer up 2-0.
Right.
All right, and we'll get into all of that when we come back on Lidline Sports. We'll be taking a break in just a few minutes. But any final thoughts that you guys have, especially about how about the Nike Colin Kaepernick commercial? Did you see that?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I think this whole burning your shoe thing, whatever, man. Nike ain't gonna lose no money off that. If you want to burn your shoes, burn them. Like I said,
you already paid for them.
You already paid for them. Donate them. Give them to someone. Put a smile on someone's face.
All they did was give Nike more marketing.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
They got $43 million in advertising, free advertising from that whole Twitter posting of Kaepernick's photo in the Just Do It campaign. Their stock dropped 3%, but now it's back up. I looked at it today. It's $2 off his all-time high, and they're up. Their sales are up 31%.
Nike's trying to get on the better half. I mean, because in the 10 years from now, Kaepernick's going to be looking great.
Yeah, they want
to be on the good side of that.
Stuck by Kobe, stuck by Serena, stuck by Colin Kaepernick right now. Mm-hmm. I feel like they've opened the door for NFL players to not stop protesting, but to widen their protest.
There you go.
We'll be right back. Right after this, you're listening to Lidline Sports with Renault, Pepe Bean, our guest Vince McDaniels, Anthony Richmond. I'm Granville Emerson. When we come back, Hall of Famer Rhonda Smith-Banchero. Don't go away.
Time for a Rainier Avenue Radio News Update. I'm Daniel. As the Showbox at the Market celebrates its 79th anniversary, news has broken that the Army Group of Vancouver, BC is
So now that goes for the next 3 minutes.
a 44-story apartment building that would house 442 residential units with 700 rooms. Shortly after hearing the news, musician Jay Middleton launched a petition to declare the Showbox a historic landmark that has since gathered just short of 75,000 signatures just 5 days later.
I only expected to get like 100
You
signatures,
get
and then
no
it
more
started
notoriety.
building momentum up, and I started getting worried. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is really cool.
To achieve this goal, Middleton will need to submit an application to the Department of Neighborhoods, which would then be reviewed by the City Historic Preservation Officer. A 12-member volunteer board would then vote on the proposal at a public meeting, making sure that the Showbox at the Market meets at least one of the 6 criteria outlined in the Seattle Landmarks Preservation Ordinance. At least 4 of the 12 need to approve the application, which then would send the proposal to the City Council. It'll take about 2 months for Middleton and the thousands that signed the petition to find out the fate of the venue, but good news for them is that the Showbox cannot be demolished while the case is still open.
Daniel Bellis, Rainier Avenue Radio News.
Since 2013, Mojam Mondays has grown into Seattle's largest all-improv jam session where bands of strangers are put on the stage to create original music on the spot.
We're making it up, we're making it happen, and it's life, it's real.
My thoughts are leaking, speaking, but nothing's coming out of us when I open my mouth.
I say mo, you say jam, mo, jam, mo, jam.
Yeah, give it up for these jammers up here. Woo!
Find us weekly at the Negro Lounge in Fremont and now on RainierAvenueRadio.world from 10 to 11 p.m. Pacific time.
Hello, friendly neighborhood agitators and listeners. This is your most prodigious political talk show host, Cliff Cawthon. Tune in every other week to listen to Politics Off the Cuff on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Politics Off the Cuff, we bring you interviews, panels, commentary, and analysis, especially from people who are fighting for progress from the bottom up, from the grassroots, in your communities, in your neighborhood, on your block, in your city, from local to global. Join us every other week for Politics Off the Cuff here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome back to Lidline Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio and Facebook Live. I'm Granville Emerson along with my partner Renault, Pepe Bean. We have another special guest as advertised, Washington Hoops Hall of Famer, Rhonda Smith-Banchero. What's up, Rhonda?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for coming back on the show.
not heard that one before.
Oh, come on now. Give a quick shout out to our peeps watching on Facebook. What's up, John Hughley, Philip Petty, Phyllis Hill, Deborah Terry, Rhonda Baker Armstrong, Soy Art, that's Consuelo.
Is Phil Petty? Oh, that's something
right. Roosevelt McQuarter and Bill Walker. What's up? Thanks for watching. Rhonda, let's get right into this. Did you watch the U.S. Open?
I did not watch the U.S. Open.
Have you heard about what went down at the U.S. Open?
I heard about what happened, and then I did watch it yesterday on YouTube. I watched just the part that they taped when leading up to her protest and then everything after that.
Give me your thoughts on whether or not you as a woman feel that the referee was being sexist in calling a coaching penalty against Serena's coach when everybody in tennis says that coaching goes on during a tennis match.
Yeah, hand signals.
I don't know if he was being sexist per se. I think that he definitely had it out for her, and at some point it seemed like his own pride kicked in. So maybe in that way, he didn't think that a woman should be talking to him like that. But I think that it had a lot to do with who she is and the amount of people that were watching the U.S. Open. And, I think his pride kicked in. And at that point, he was going to make an example of her. I think there is an argument for sexism because they said in 2017, Rafael Nadal had that same judge and at the French Open and called him really horrible names in protest and literally didn't get any type of penalty or certainly not any games penalized. So in that way, I do hear the argument for sexism, but I think he just knew it was Serena, it was U.S. Open. There's millions of people watching, and I didn't think she said anything inappropriate. I think she called him on the carpet. She was just very honest, and maybe that's just not what he was used to.
Yeah. Well, this guy has refereed a number of high profile tennis matches. Right. So if he can't handle a woman talking to him the way Serena talked to him, well, maybe he doesn't need to be refereed.
Well, that was his last match. He actually was literally retiring after that last match. So to your point, he is not going to be judging anymore. That's it. That was it for him.
Oh, well,
so you know what? You could do anything you want on your last day.
Right. I think, yeah.
So obviously that's what he did.
Yeah.
Obviously that's exactly what he did. That's a good reason why he decided to, first of all, give Serena a penalty for coaching, which is unheard of. I've watched tennis all my life, and I've never seen any referee give anybody a penalty for coaching, for her coach giving her hand signals when she wasn't even looking at it.
Right.
Well, and I like to know if, thinking about players who were controversial, John McEnroe, had he ever been penalized points? Andre Agassi, those are people that I remember when they would go ballistic. I remember watching the television. My dad plays tennis, so we watched a lot of tennis. But I remember, those would just go on for 5-10 minutes. McEnroe would threaten to quit. And, just all did they get penalized points?
There was one year when McEnroe did get disqualified from the Virginia Open.
I mean, but that's the Virginia Open.
Yeah, but not in a Grand Slam event. No.
Sure. And I think what added insult to injury was it was 5-5. It was hot. Both women were working really hard. I don't know. I didn't watch the match, so I don't know who had the upper hand at that point. But it's a tie. It's a tie. The match, literally, the championship is literally on the line. And now all of a sudden she reacts, loses 2 points. It's 5-3. Everybody's tired. They think this is about to end. And now she's got to, basically start from scratch, I think, at that point in the match. So I just think you don't ever want to be a judge or a ref who impacts any match or game in that way.
Yeah, here's the sad part. The sad part is it looked like Serena was on her way to an L. But we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Right.
And I believe that she will come back and she will win another major and she will, break the record that she's been hunting to, I think, to get 24. But if she doesn't, then this will always be a huge what if. So I'm
Right.
hoping that she, bounces back and wins at least one more major so that she can say that this was not a defining moment in her career.
Right.
Yeah, it was a sad moment for Naomi Osaka because it tainted her
Big time.
victory. A 20-year-old winning a Grand Slam event, winning the U.S. Open at 20 years old,
Boo birds.
and really couldn't celebrate it. I thought that Serena did a heck of a job calming the crowd, telling them to stop booing, and trying her best to celebrate Naomi in the aftermath of all that nonsense. And so,
People who get mad at, a lot of people are mad at Serena because they said, "Oh, that's wrong because now you've marred her." Serena's a competitor. She didn't want to lose that match or lose the championship in that way. She was going to fight for what she believes was right, and then the judge, obviously, ref got involved, and so it went on, so on and so forth. I don't blame her at all because she's a competitor. You're not thinking about your opponent and how's the opponent feeling. You're trying to fight for your own life in a particular competition. So she's 20. She'll get another one.
Yeah, it's just sad that your first one was like that. But here's the thing that I try to convey to people. Just like you said, when you're a competitor, right, in a championship match, you are gonna get pissed off when the ref does something out of the blue.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So people have to understand that what the ref did was crazy.
Right.
In tennis. It wasn't just she broke the rule, he penalized her.
No.
It's crazy and that been done.
Yeah, he was out of pocket.
Right? And so it's like, to me, it's like not only the part where he penalizes their coach for hand signaling her, then he gives her another penalty for throwing her racket down, which, it's by the rules, but a lot of times doesn't get penalized in tennis.
Yeah, how many times has McEnroe did that?
Yeah. Not for men, for sure, right?
Right.
Not for men.
Because McEnroe used to go on legendary tirades.
Right.
And I didn't see him getting cartooned in the paper and
let's be honest,
like that.
What Serena, I think, has risen her persona on the court. She's very classy. When there is, a questionable call, ball out or whatever, she almost never argues it. She just goes back, collects herself, and keeps playing. So my point to the judge was she's not somebody who is a McEnroe who at a drop of a hat, or if he,
or a cheater.
She's not that person, and she's not that person on the court. Maybe in her earlier years, and I mean, 10, 15 years ago, she was emotional and would have outbursts. But now, for the last, 8 to 10 years, she's not been that way.
Yeah, because she's a champion.
So to not give her that grace and that space for being the greatest athlete, in my opinion, certainly female athlete of all time.
No. I like what you said, greatest athlete, because you know what? I'm tired of hearing Serena being called greatest female, this and that. Listen, as an athlete, she's one of the best ever, period. Gender has nothing to do with it. She's just awesome, period.
So to not give her the space and the grace to express herself in that way and to penalize her in that way, I think it really is wrong. And I felt like, the ref really wanted to make a point about how he wasn't going to be disrespected. It's how I looked at that.
Yeah. And it's so bush league as a referee. It's kind of like if you're in a championship game, right? And the referee just calls a technical on you, right? And puts the other team at the free throw line to win the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Like when he could have just gave you a warning.
Yeah.
Right? And I've had that happen to me, like where a referee would just give me a technical for saying something. I'm like, what happened to the warning?
But if you're Serena, she, earlier in the year or earlier in the tennis season, she said she realized that she had been drug tested almost 3 times more than any of her counterparts.
Right.
She showed up to every test. I guess I think they can show up at your house, but you also have the option to drive in.
Mm-hmm.
And, her living in Florida or whatever, she was tested on average 2 times more than the next most popular player. And, and so she didn't realize that until someone brought it to her attention. She's just going about thinking that this is just how it is.
Right.
So you got to think that there's a little something to some of the things that are happening in women's tennis, because you have I think the Australian Open or the French Open, where now they've banned, she came out with an outfit and now they've banned that. And, just all of these
years
things
earlier,
that
somebody had worn a catsuit.
Well, that was Wimbledon. So
Right.
Wimbledon didn't say you couldn't wear pants or whatever for women. They just said you had to wear white. But my point is that Serena does something, she's the first to do something, and then all of a sudden there's a rule now. And so it doesn't feel like it's not about her, and as her being a woman, you can, throw the sexism in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all the way around sad and crazy thing, even to the point where they have came out with this crazy cartoon. Some Australian paper had this cartoon about Serena as the angry black woman. Did you see the cartoon?
Yes, I did.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's really not. I think cartoon is too nice a stretch. That was an absolute caricature. It was offensive in so many ways, if you know your history, and I know everybody in this room does. And, it's just something, I have a friend, I play with a woman rather, from Adelaide, Australia. And, she FaceTimed me, or not FaceTimed me, but got me on an instant messenger and said, Rhonda, I'm so disgusted by this as an Australian. Mm-hmm. And it just, I hope that there's a movement or something going on in Australia to bring that person, put his feet to the fire. Because I just thought it was really disgusting.
Yeah, there's 500,000 readers on that Australian paper. 500,000, 500,000.
Well, let's not forget, they made Naomi basically white with a blonde ponytail.
Yes.
So we can get into the fact that she was Haitian Japanese and talking about her heritage, but now all of a sudden she's the first Japanese player to win the U.S. Open, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're just going to throw the Haitian part aside.
Well, to her credit, she brings it up.
Yeah,
so
she does
bring her dad up, which is commendable.
She does.
Well, not only bring it up, she had to correct a reporter.
Right.
She did.
and tell them that she is Haitian Japanese and was raised in a Haitian home.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I haven't even heard Japan claim her though. That's another story for another day. That's a whole nother story. In the NBA, got to give a shout out to former Seattle Supersonic Ray Allen, a.k.a. Jesus Shuttlesworth, who was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame over the weekend.
Yes.
So shout out to Ray.
Congrats.
Best shooter ever.
Oh man. So
hard to argue.
Purest form.
One of the great things about moving back to Seattle, when I first moved back to Seattle from LA, was Ray Allen was playing for the Seattle Supersonics, and Lidline Sports, not Lidline Sports, Rainier Avenue Radio sports director, host of One on One with Rick Dupree, was the director of player personnel or something for the Sonics. So Rick would give me tickets to the games, and I was there the night that Ray Allen broke the NBA 3-point record against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, former team.
You said the greatest shooter ever?
Best form, for
Best
sure.
form ever.
Okay.
Well, that's why Spike cast him for He Got Game. Because his form is impeccable.
Yes.
I mean, he's straight up and down, follow through. It's a thing of beauty.
It is
the same every time.
But you know what I like the most about Ray Allen? For me, and especially as a basketball coach, I used to love having access to go to Seattle Sonics practices and watch Ray Allen practice. He is the quintessential leader. He did everything as precise as possible and went harder than anybody out there. And I tell my kids this all the time. I always use Ray Allen as an example. I said, I went to the Sonics practice and they were running this drill called 4 out. It's up and down the floor 4 times. at the end of a 3-hour practice, Ray Allen's still dunking. There's nobody else dunking. Not even, what's my man's name? The dude that could jump out the gym back then?
Mason.
No, this was later on. I can't think of what his name was. I think he came from the Clippers.
Oh. Kobe Stopper.
I can't remember what his name was. But he was the dude dunking on the Sonics at that particular time. He was laying it up. Ray was like, let's go. At the end of a 3-hour practice. He's such a great leader. Glad to see him get his props. He is a real Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
To the WNBA.
Yes.
And let me just say, while we're talking about the WNBA, I do believe the Seattle Times laid an egg in terms of not putting. Why aren't they on the front page? It's the most exciting thing in Washington sports right now. It's the most exciting thing in Washington right now.
Sexism.
There it is.
Up 2-0, had a great season. We have the MVP. We have a local, a Husky who waited 10 years, played at Australia for 10 years, and then finally she gets her shot, and she's helping us win games. I mean, she's coming up with key rebounds, hitting key threes and key defensive plays, and we got nothing. We get little blurbs.
Right.
I mean, come on.
So
I agree.
So to digress intentionally, that's exactly what Serena's talking about.
I completely and utterly agree.
That's exactly what Serena's talking about. She's trying to elevate women's sports.
Yes.
Right? Into a semblance of equality.
Right.
Right? That's exactly her point for those of you who missed it. And the Seattle Storm not being on the front page is a definite sexist.
Yes.
Intentional.
Yeah. Seahawks not even playing a game.
I mean, they're 0-3 anyway.
Right.
With discord everywhere.
The Mariners get more.
And they're self-destructing right now. So I mean, we got one good, solid winner, and we can't get on the front page of the Times.
Yeah. I thought that the semifinals against the Phoenix Mercury was epic.
Best basketball. Those last 2 games are probably the best, some of the best basketball games I have actually ever witnessed, men or women. I mean, and I'm talking, there have been some good ones in the last 10 years. Obviously, the women's NC2A final and semifinal were the second game were amazing games. Agumba Wale. Yeah. Thank you.
Glad you said it.
Definitely
what she said.
Provided a lot of excitement. So, but the Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, best friends, going toe to toe.
And what's funny is Taurasi was telling her, tear up. When she was talking about getting grabbed by the face. I love it.
Yeah, it was.
And then Griner and Stewie have that battle. That's pretty good.
But those last 2 games are really about those 2 players and Sammy Whitcomb.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about just the amount of 3-pointers in the 45 seconds was ridiculous, and they were just coming down face to face. I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to make it. I mean, it was really great to see. I really enjoyed it.
In game 2, I thought DeWanna Bonner was just
man,
she did. Yeah,
she was flat out balling. I was like, what?
Man, she was not joking.
They couldn't stop her.
No.
They couldn't stop her, and I was wondering why Phoenix wasn't really trying to go to her like down the stretch.
Yeah,
I was like, wow. I mean,
but Stewie had 28, I think, in Game 5. But you wouldn't have known it because in the fourth quarter she really didn't score.
It was a bird show.
But yeah. So I mean, you have great role players. That's the only way you're going to win a championship is everybody's willing to play their role and step up when needed, and they just are playing like a well-oiled machine.
It seems like the older Hall of Famers seem to know when to pick their spots. Like a couple of years ago in the series between the Spurs and the Warriors, Manu Ginobili really brought it in like one of the games. But I said it before on the show, when you have a person that's on the last leg and they bring everything to that game, they're not going to have much for you later on. So Sue Bird had no choice. Game 5, she had to bring everything she had, and she did.
Yep.
And then a game against was that game 3? Yeah. So, I'm talking about game 5. No, game 3. You're right. She yeah. So, and then Game 5, who brought somebody else then? I guess it was Stewie then.
Yeah, it was Stewie, Sue Bird, Sammy Whitcomb.
And I like Natasha Howard. That pickup to me was key.
And I think, is it January? There's a small guard.
For Phoenix?
No, for us.
What? Jewel Lloyd?
No.
Jordan Canada?
Is it January? Canada. Yeah, I always get her and January mixed up. But she had a really good series as well. Very solid. Very solid defensively.
And she's going to be even better next year.
Yeah.
Rhonda, what's your thoughts on the championship series versus the Mystics? We're up 2-0?
I mean, I'm definitely going to go with the Storm. I think that the Mystics have had a great season as well. You know, they have Elena Deladon, who's...
She can get 40 on any night.
Yeah, she can pretty much do what she wants and score what she wants. Mm-hmm. But I think after that, you know, across the board, I feel like it's a sharp drop in terms of point production, rebounds, and just, you know, filling the stat sheet. So I'm going to go with the Storm. I mean, they're up 2-0, so I mean that's an easy one. But I think that we just go deeper into our bench. I think that's actually what helped us against Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And everybody's just solid, just can step up and shoot. And you look out there, and nobody's afraid to shoot. You don't see anybody holding back or, you know, looking around to see. They're all out there just playing.
2 questions. Number 1, best player: Breonna Stewart, Lauren Jackson.
Oh, Stewie. By a mile.
Already? Really? By a mile?
I mean, if you look at how she came into the league, you know, 4-time MVP of NC2A, MVP, I think both, because Connecticut won it every year. Just so many accolades and really no drop off for her. You know, she's just been real solid.
She didn't struggle her first year?
No. She had more than a few 30-point games. She was almost a lock for MVP her first year in.
Who is the GOAT of women's basketball?
I'm gonna go with Diana Taurasi right now. I mean, there's Cynthia Cooper and Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson and, you know, just
Cheryl
so
Miller.
many. Cheryl Miller.
Everybody mentioned Cheryl
Miller.
I mean, but I think that, what you're seeing now though is, you know, a solid now 10, 12, however long the WNBA has been a thing.
Over 20 years now.
Has it been 20 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like it's
you got to remember.
I mean, that just means I'm 10 years older than I like to
the
think.
Houston Comets were the first champions back in the 90s.
We're all 10 years older than we like to think.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I think you have a lot of players who have set the Cheryl Swoops. I mean, just so many players. But I think just in terms of like taking a team on their back. Oh, Maya Moore. I don't know. Okay. Now I don't know. No, I can't name it.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is
hard.
Right. Yeah. So it's subjective, just like who's the.
I think Cheryl gets bit by the era because they didn't get the WNBA.
She's the Bill Russell.
She didn't get the exposure. Right.
She's like Bill Russell, right?
Yeah. She didn't get the exposure.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah. But the WNBA is also very, very physical. You know, it's a super physical game right now.
Yeah.
So you see players, you know, the great Kelsey Plum, who, you know, struggle because it's really tough. Physical out there, and you gotta be ready to hold your own, literally.
Yeah. Today's game fits your game just nicely, right?
Yeah, it was great. I would have been eating every game.
You've been eating. So, not to be sexist at all, we talked about football.
Well, if you have to say that now, then you're gonna say something that you qualify.
No, I'm not. We talked about football while we had the men's up here. So we're going to talk about football while you're up here.
Okay.
Especially since you are a University of Washington legend. We're on to the Husky football. Over the weekend, they had a lackluster 45-3 win.
Yeah.
It was a snoozer.
Right.
Did you watch it?
I was there.
Yeah, you were out there.
You were there. Season ticket.
What happened then? Season ticket holder. Yeah.
I think that, you know, I think we were coming off of a disappointing loss at Auburn where we should have beat that team, Auburn, by 14. But unfortunately,
you can't convert in the red zone.
Can't convert in the red zone, turn it over. So
with a 4-year starting quarterback, which I don't understand at all.
So I think that we're coming off of that loss and really trying to find ourselves. I mean, I feel like we know we're good, but you know, with a 4-year starting quarterback, Miles Gaskin, we got some pieces. So I feel like everybody else has got
59 yards against them.
Yeah, we really need to step it up and say we're going to he's gonna put us on his back, and we're gonna allow him to do that. I think we need to have a little bit better receiving production.
Who's my guy, G?
So
we need to use
who's my guy
Savon.
on
Is it Salvon?
real quick.
Ahmed Salvon. I can't. Is that
That's
his name?
my guy.
Yeah.
You name
Yeah.
my guy.
Yeah.
He got one touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that game is made for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the deal with the Huskies. They have a new offensive coordinator, and he has not figured out what his identity is.
Agreed.
And and like Pep said, and I have to agree with him, Jake Browning has not progressed in 2 years.
Nope.
He just hasn't.
It's hard for me to talk bad about my guys, but I'm
yeah.
going to respectfully listen.
But yeah,
Just not.
Yeah, just not. I mean, you don't have to disrespect Jake.
No.
I'm not disrespecting
We
Jake. I'm just
giving you facts.
Well, I think that
he hasn't
I think
progressed.
that we've got to. What we have to do is when you said find our identity, find the also the cadence of play calling. Like I felt like that was real choppy, and maybe we're calling plays that we're not super good at, or we don't really know them. And you know, our first game's against Auburn, where it's coming at you fast and hard. Although I don't think Auburn was that great. I mean, we played not well, and we're in that
First
game.
quarter, UW was shell shocked. After the first quarter, they played UW football.
That's right.
all I know is they better get it together because Stanford is tough.
Oh,
Stanford is good.
Stanford is tough. So if they're thinking about winning the Pac-12, going to the
they better not look past nobody.
They got to get it together. Matter of fact, they got to get it together this weekend here in Utah. Right?
Bring it.
Rhonda, that went fast. You gave us some gems. Some real solid enlightenment. I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
We're going to have you back again, of course. And I want to thank Anthony Richmond and Vincent McDaniels. This has been a great show. I told you all it was going to be fire. And I always want to thank my partner over here to my left, Renault the Pepster, Pepe B. And I want to thank you, everybody listening, and everybody out there in Facebook land. Tune in again next Monday, live 7 to 8, right here on RainierAvenueRadio.world and Facebook Live. Lidline Sports as we see it from
just below our lid.
Holla. That was all right.
All right.
Thank you. Here it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
I heard that Peterson wasn't convicted.
Oh, this weekend?
Is that true?
Between Miles Gaskin and Savannah?
No, quarterback. They put in the backup, and he went 7 for 7 out there. He was killing it. Yeah.
He was throwing darts.
I mean,
let's calm down here. They playing North Dakota State.
Right.